Hello and welcome to episode 9 of the Pit Strategy Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff.
And I am Matt.
And we're coming to you live after the amazing, fun, exciting time that was the Miami Grand Prix. Held this past weekend at the Miami International Autodrome at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens.
Sunny Florida.
Yeah, it was a heck of a race. The weather was good.
Yeah.
Wasn't a swimming pool.
I'm sure the drivers would have a different opinion about the weather
Usually.
than we would, but I mean, what else is new?
It was humid. It was humid as crap. I mean, That's what happens when you put a Formula One race in Florida right on the coast. It's gonna be sticky, it's gonna be mucky.
Yeah.
But it was at least an enjoyable race. But we'll get into the details in a minute. We'll start off with the dispatch, and wasn't a whole lot of news coming off of it. But I guess the biggest, mysterious details is what is going to happen with Logan Sargent at Williams, considering that Williams has applied to the FIA to get 17-year-old Kimi Antonelli his super license.
Yes, and from what I've heard, there's been some complications with getting that approved.
Yes,
mainly the fact that Kimi is 17 years old, and the minimum age to have a super license with the FIA is 18.
Correct.
You can appeal to that, but that's a process.
Yes,
there's a lot of red tape involved.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of red tape of lawyers and legalese and safety waivers that have to be signed and boards of trustees that have to sign off in triplicate and all kinds of stuff.
Lots of insurance.
Yes, I can't imagine the insurance that kid's going to have to carry.
Yeah.
My goodness, that's going to be expensive.
It's unreal.
I hope he's got a good sponsor.
But no, he does. I mean, he's an up-and-coming Italian racing driver. He's got to have some good backing.
True, and he's a Mercedes Driver Academy, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so that probably comes with some budget.
Is he from Prema, right?
That sounds right. I believe so.
I could totally be wrong, but I believe that he's racing for Prema.
That would make sense. Definitely one of the more premier teams in the lower formulas.
I mean, either way, he tested for Mercedes, and he's looking to go to Williams. We'll talk more about the Grand Prix itself, but Sargent is definitely on his way out, not solely because of this weekend's result,
but for the last season and a half.
For his entire career.
Yeah, there have been rumors floating around the paddock that he was going to be replaced at Imola.
Yes.
James Vowles, before the Miami Grand Prix, was trying to dissuade those rumors, saying that they had no intention of doing so, but yet they've been going around, on the other hand, and getting Antonelli ready, and they're certainly not throwing any bones Logan's direction for sure.
No. It might not happen at Imola, but it is going to happen before the summer break.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't see him lasting until the end of the season for sure.
No.
Williams needs points, and currently he's costing them more money than points he's bringing in.
Yes, he is a liability, not an asset.
Absolutely, and they only just now got their third chassis, and he totaled another one. So not necessarily entirely his fault, but we'll get into that in a minute. But it's still it's a cost against the Williams team that maybe could be avoided if you had a better driver in that seat that wasn't getting into scraps with Kevin Magnussen.
Right, of all the drivers you could get into a scrap with.
Right.
He chose the menace of the 2024 grid.
Oh my goodness. Well, we'll get into that in a second. Any other news? Say perhaps for
the dispatch. No, it's been pretty quiet outside of that. I mean, the only other thing are the whole Adrian Newey rumors of Adrian Newey leaving Red Bull. That has been confirmed.
Correct.
His contract right now is locking him in for the beginning of 2025.
Correct.
And he's got what's called a garden period where he's not really committed to anything. He just kind of chill out, do whatever he wants.
He's the British version of a non-compete clause.
Basically, it's kind of like a forced sabbatical.
Yes.
Now he is working on Red Bull's hypercar project, and I think he wants to see that through before he leaves.
It would definitely be a fun crowning achievement at the end of a
for sure
stately 20-year career at Red Bull.
Yeah, for sure. And the big rumor is that he's going to end up at Ferrari.
Yeah.
I know you would love to see that.
Oh, this pleases the Tifosi.
Yes.
But no, apparently he had offers from Aston Martin, which he turned down. He had, apparently, rumor was floating around, he had an offer from Audi, which he also turned down.
Right. There was rumor that James Vowles was talking to him about coming back to Williams because that's where he came from before joining up with Red Bull. it'd be funny.
It would be really funny.
Yeah, I don't really see that happening either, though.
You have to believe that every team principal at least called and said, "Hey,
Yeah.
at least don't dismiss us out of hand."
Sure. Yeah. What can we do for you?
Yeah.
What do you really want?
I mean, heck, in the pit walk before the Grand Prix, he was seen talking with one Mr. Andretti himself.
Yes.
They were having a nice conversation staring at the RB20 down there. So
And I think you and I know you want him to go to Ferrari, but collectively, we would love to see Newey go to Andretti.
Oh, absolutely. That would be great. And he has a history of helping in IndyCar. Like he's no stranger to the Andrettis and what their capabilities are.
Oh, sure.
So he's I don't think would dismiss Andretti Motorsport as like some new upstart or anything.
Yeah, the final move of your career, getting this, like, it's a big name, but it's a startup F1 team and putting them at the top of the grid right off the bat. That'd be amazing.
Proof that you can do it again.
Exactly.
I'm gonna do it again. No, I can see him wanting to do that again. He said some of his biggest regrets was not working with Fernando Alonso or Lewis Hamilton.
Right.
I don't think he wants to go someplace he's already been. That's why I don't think he'll go to Williams. I genuinely don't believe it.
And he has also said that one of his regrets is not working with Ferrari.
Correct. So I think Ferrari or someplace he has not been.
Right. So that's just going to be, $1 million final, like, sort of choice for him.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes. He's been very hush-hush about it. Really, the only thing he said during the Grand Prix press things, which he usually does not engage with the press during the Grand Prix weekends.
No, he does not.
But he did entertain some of the reporters. Basically made it clear that he's going to take his gardening leave seriously. He's going to take a break. The man has been busy for the last 20 years.
Yes.
He's earned himself a break and use that time wisely to figure out where he's going to go.
Yeah, he probably just doesn't know yet, which is why he's been so quiet.
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, so it'll just be a matter of time until he's legally allowed to make a decision, and then at that point, I'm sure it'll be the F1 shot heard around the world.
Right. I'm also sure that Red Bull's lawyers are going out of their way to figure out how they can get his contract extended through 2026.
Or some little loophole, because we all know Christian Horner loves his lawyers.
Everybody loves their lawyers.
That's awesome.
But I'm sure Christian is very appreciative of his lawyers from the past 5 months.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, we will keep you updated on the Adrian Newey situation once we hear something. If you're not following us on our social medias, that would be a great time to do so.
Yes, because we're getting busier over there.
We are, yeah. It's getting very busy in the paddock, especially as we approach the summer break when all of the silly season starts kicking off.
Yes.
So Mr. Newey won't be the only person making a move from one team to another.
Yeah.
So. All right, well, let's get into the debrief. Obviously, the Miami Grand Prix this weekend. It was a sprint weekend, which is always an interesting wrench in the gears.
Yeah.
Kind of throws a lot of team strategies out the window and forces them to innovate in certain ways. What were some of your bigger takeaways from the race?
Well, the fact that it was a sprint weekend probably contributed to the lack of tire performance for a lot of teams.
Yeah, for sure.
Because tire deck was a huge problem for everybody on the grid, but in particular for Max Verstappen.
Yeah, and Checo.
Yes, and Checo. Red Bull had trouble.
Lap 1, turn 1 in the race was iconic, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, so that threw, like you said, threw a little wrench in the works.
Yep, for sure. So let's start with the sprint. There really wasn't any big moments in the first free practice or sprint qualifying. They were pretty standard.
Pretty mild, except for the one where Charles Leclerc spun out in FP1.
Yeah, he turned his car sideways against two walls, pulled the whole
Austin Powers
stuck in a tunnel type thing, and ended up having to get out of the car and red flag the session because he just got it stuck.
Yeah.
Did they ever say what happened?
I think he just jumped the curb.
Okay.
Just did it weird.
Just spun it.
Yeah. He spun.
Just an incident. So yeah, that was really the only highlight from the free practices. There was really nothing in sprint qualifying. It was a pretty standard format, standard session. Nothing.
It was cool to see Danny Rick qualify P4.
Yes, it was, and finished in 4th.
Yes.
In the sprint itself.
Best finish for V-Carb so far this year.
Yes. Well deserved points for him and the V-Carb team. They definitely needed those.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely
especially after China.
Especially after China and Danny's, some of the bad press he's had in recent months.
Yes. So this was a good look for him.
Yeah, it was definitely good, but it's kind of sad he couldn't follow it up in the race itself. But
yeah, between his qualifying performance for the actual race and his 3-place penalty that he had to serve from the Chinese Grand Prix.
Right.
Yeah, that was a letdown. But it was nice to see some old Dane Ricciardo for at least a sprint.
Yep, he's not completely gone.
Yeah.
So I still hold to my theory that he does not deserve that seat. But I don't think he needs to drop out of Formula One entirely. Like, there's still a racer there. There's still a driver there. Is he worthy of a Red Bull Junior seat? No.
I'm with you. I agree with you that he is still definitely a competitive racer, but so far he has been consistently unimpressive.
Right.
This one race was a huge turnaround for him. It was great to see. But he's going to have to keep repeating those kind of results.
Yeah. And
so far he has not done that.
Correct. He's got a long season ahead of him of proving that he's worthy of being one of the 20.
Definitely, yes.
Especially in that seat. But I think at the beginning of the season there was a lot of talk of Checo going away and Ricciardo was first in line for that seat. And I think those rumors are pretty much gone now. I don't think anybody's saying that.
No.
Now, I don't know about Checo staying with Red Bull. We'll get to that in a minute. But I definitely don't see Ricciardo replacing Checo.
Yeah.
There's far better drivers in the open market right now that could fill a Red Bull primary seat.
There's options out there.
Yeah. Carlos Sainz. But but no, the sprint was good. Poor Lando spinning out DNF right off the bat in all of that mess with we can call it, I guess, a 3-car pileup, but just technically 4. Hamilton coming up on the inside of turn 1.
Right. Lap 1, turn 1.
Lap 1, turn 1. Totally, basically had to force Alonso to make a move to clear space, and in that, him and Lance Stroll got tires crossed.
Yes.
Which forced Stroll to clip Lando, spinning him out into the runoff area outside of turn 1, and it was enough damage that he could not finish the race.
Yeah, that was gut-wrenching.
It was very gut-wrenching. You could tell Lando was very disappointed.
That's one word for it, but yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely sad. Definitely.
Yeah, at first glance, everybody, I'm sure a lot of people were just thinking in their heads, oh, Lance, not again.
Right.
But looking at it more objectively and from a broader view, it was almost just a domino effect of a dive bomb plus avoiding the dive bomb. You couldn't really pin that incident on one particular person.
No, it was just a whole lot of mess.
A whole lot of competition that just ended badly.
And it's a miracle more cars didn't spin out and wreck. Like I feel bad for Lando, obviously, but it's a miracle that it wasn't 2 or more cars that ended up being DNF right there.
It's just a testament to them being F1 drivers.
Yes, they were able to keep it somewhat alive.
Yeah, even Lance for right now, anyway.
Yeah. But no, the sprint was also speaking of conflicts and combative personalities. Let's talk about the Kevin Magnussen Lewis Hamilton fight that dominated the entire back half of that sprint.
That was so entertaining to watch.
K-Mag is an absolute menace to society right now.
He's a tyrant.
So he went from nothing to 10 penalty points in a single weekend. The max you can get is 12.
Right. Yeah, which means that unless Haas is okay with him getting a racing ban, which with you as a driver, if your team is okay with you getting a racing ban, that's a big problem.
That's a big red flag.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
But yeah, if Haas and K-Mag are going to be smart about this, he can't drive like this anymore.
Oh, absolutely not.
He's just going to have to drive normally. Last year's Magnussen, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, he cut that last chicane, was that turn 16? Turn 15, 16, whatever that last chicane is before the long back straight.
Right.
Just completely cut it. Flagrantly, like, as a point to hold position. He even told the stewards afterward he didn't regret it. It was a deliberate move.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the most flagrant, like, screw the rules, screw sportsmanship. I'm going to do whatever I want to just fight Lewis.
Yeah.
And I think it took a lot of drivers by surprise. The level of unsportsmanlike behavior that was. Even the commentators were just like, my goodness, what is this?
Yeah, it was very NASCAR almost.
Yeah, exactly. And even Lewis was shocked. I mean, Lewis complains. I mean, we know that. But even he was like it wasn't just a complaint. Like, it was like a genuine shock from. Was like, what is this guy doing?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
He's a hazard. He's a hazard to himself. He's a hazard to everyone else on track. This can't stand.
Really makes you wonder if it is Haas team orders. Like, how much of this is team orders and how much of this is just Magnussen not caring? Like, does he know that he's on his way out next year and he just doesn't care anymore?
Could be. I mean, you go as long as they have and, not having all that many race wins and that kind of stuff. Hulkenberg on his way out. You got to think that Magnussen's the kind of personality that requires a special sort of teammate. And I think him and Nico get along well. I don't think anybody else would get along very well with Kevin.
Probably not.
Especially some of the rookies that are kind of waiting in the wings. And I think Steiner was willing to let that ride. I don't think Eio Komatsu is of the same mind as Steiner. I think he doesn't have time for games. He doesn't have time for shenanigans like that, especially if he's going to have to put a rookie in there this next year. He's going to want someone who can play well with others.
Which is making me think that at least part of this is team orders because he's let this go on for 3 Grand Prix now.
That's true. It could be that.
Maybe Magnussen's like, it's a classic AI interpreting programming incorrectly. He's just taking things too far. Sort of a deal.
Or you say K-Mag is a
Terminator.
You say Terminator, I say ChatGPT. Same difference at this point.
Oh, well, yeah. One day it'll be one and the same, right?
Yeah. But, I mean, it was just a mess. The sprint ended up with a lot of people getting bumped down. K-Mag, obviously, was it 30 seconds?
I think so. That sounds right.
Yeah, at least 30, maybe. I think it was just 33 10-second penalties, which is ridiculous. And then Hamilton got a 10 for speeding in the pit lane, which dropped him down still, which put Yuki in the points.
Yeah, it's a double points for V-Carb.
Yeah, their best result of the season so far.
Yep.
Which was good for them. So, but yeah, that was the big highlight of the sprint. Obviously Verstappen and all of that. And
yeah,
it was a good fight at the front. But this whole dynamic, there was 2 battles going on. You had Lewis and K-Mag doing their thing. But then we had Carlos Sainz and Oscar Piastri duking it out, and Ricardo was even in there for a hot minute.
Yeah.
I've never seen such aggression in a sprint for such little points. It was just interesting to see them treat it like a full Grand Prix, which is weird because we know a lot of drivers don't like sprints.
Right.
So for them to take the Grand Prix level combativeness to a sprint was good to see, I think.
Sure. It just means a lot of the, midfield cars are hungry.
Yes. Yeah. They're definitely desperate to get some points in there, better than nothing. Because, when Haas is leading the mid-pack, everybody should be a little bit worried.
Right.
Going into Miami, they were leading the mid-pack. I think V-Carb finally pulled ahead of them with a dual points finish. But,
yes. And now we have a solid last place with Williams.
Yes. Yeah, last place is currently Sauber and Williams.
Yeah, Sauber and Williams.
Pulling up the rear.
Yeah, you're right. It is still technically a tie between those 2.
Yeah, because even Alpine scored points.
Yes, Alpine has points now. They are out of that.
Yeah.
So,
they're out of the drought.
2 now.
So, yeah, it's sad to see the big green tractors and and Williams back there in the back of the standings. But what can you do?
Change your car.
Change your freaking car. So yeah, those were the big highlights of the sprint. It was definitely an entertaining couple of laps. Kept things interesting. But let's take a time out and let's talk about the 2 big liveries that made their debut at the Miami Grand Prix.
Yes.
Let's start with Ferrari, since we've discussed this in length on social media, and of course social media has been a buzz.
Scuderia HP Ferrari.
Nobody's calling it that, except the team, and even they don't like it. But no, they announced we're doing this blue livery, and they put the drivers in these sweet looking sky blue suits.
Yep.
Cool blue helmets. Carlos's helmet from this weekend was on point. It was beautiful. Would love to have it mounted on a wall in this room.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's what they debuted first, was those racing suits and helmets and all the stuff.
That paint scheme reminded me of the classic Richard Petty look.
Yes.
Which is why we had a lot of Dynaco memes out there.
Yep.
So, yeah, my hopes were so high for that.
Yeah, it was a throwback to that. It was a throwback kind of like the blue from the Gulf liveries as times past, like the Blue Williams ran last season.
Yeah.
It was like, yes, classic blue on a Ferrari. This is going to look fantastic.
Ferrari had two white and blue liveries from the 1964 Mexico Grand Prix and New York, Watkins Glen.
Correct.
So they were also saying, hey, we're paying homage to this as well.
Right. And so everybody expected the car to be fully blue. Like, we're taking a break from the red. Like, red's not gone, but we're just taking, a one-off break from red.
A lot of teams do that.
Yeah, a lot of teams. Plenty of teams change their color scheme for a one-off race. And so, there was a lot of renderings. There was a whole lot of concepts thrown around social media, and they were all wonderful. Like, I didn't see a bad concept drawing out there.
Yeah, Ferrari should really take notes.
Yeah. What they debuted before the race was this just awful red and blue hybrid, mostly red.
It was just stickers.
Yeah, with the weirdest blue accent markings.
Yeah. And it clashed so bad.
Yes, it clashed pretty terribly, especially with their suits sitting in the middle. Like, even the blue in the suits was not the same shade of blue that was on the car. And what blue was on the car, there was more blue in the Hewlett-Packard logos than there was in any of the other details on the car.
It was covered in HP logos.
There was at least like six or eight logos, HP logos on the car, plus another one big one acting like a belly button on the driver's suit.
Yeah, I made a comment about this on our socials, but it looks like the big C-3PO belly button.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
The same size.
It was so disappointing. I think it could have been something. Like, it could have been a legendary thing. Like, when they raced Monza last year, they debuted that gorgeous red and yellow livery.
Yes.
For that event. It was beautiful. They sold so much Monza specialty merch from that.
Right.
That's what everybody was expecting. Like a blue one-off Ferrari livery. I'm going to go buy a shirt. I'm going to go buy a hat. I even told myself, like, if they release a hat of this, I'm buying a hat.
Yeah.
Like, that's iconic. Nothing. It was kind of a meh livery. I was very disappointed.
They didn't even make a new paint scheme. They just threw vinyl stickers on the car.
Somebody just said, we're going to design this with like a ruler, just a line of blue over the middle, and then a little bit on the end of the wing. Be done. It's like the laziest.
It was very lazy.
For a racing outfit with as much heritage and history as Scuderia Ferrari, you'd think they'd come up with something a little more tasteful. But
yeah, makes you wonder how much input HP had in this whole thing. It was probably their decision from the start.
It had to be. Have you ever seen? You ever looked at HP's design aesthetic? It's boring.
I believe it.
Everything is flat silver, matte black, uninspired.
Very bland office kind of look.
Yeah, Apple products from 25 years ago.
Yeah,
that's about where they're at. So yeah, very disappointing. But then on the other hand, V-Guard.
Yes.
With this just beautiful, what's the word? Miami aesthetic, summer vibes. Tropical Technicolor dreamboat.
It was just a summertime sort of.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I loved that.
Blues, purples, yellow, orange, whatever. Every kind of tropical color mixed together in almost a tie-dye sort of a pattern.
Yeah, the side pods on it looked beautiful. The nose looked good. It was all integrated in, well laid out, well designed.
And not only that, but the way they revealed it was cool.
Yeah.
They had this whole little like live reveal where they had just graffiti cover the entire car, and then they wash it all away, and boom, here's the new livery.
Right. Yeah, it was real pretty. I was very much a fan of it.
And I don't know whether this was just a crazy accident or just really good planned timing on VCOP's part, because they revealed this livery right after Ferrari.
Right.
It was like almost a Lord of the Rings, like hold. Whoa.
We're gonna let the worst one go first.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Out of 10, I'd give the Ferrari like a 3 out of 10, and the V-Carb's like an 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna give Ferrari a 2 just because I feel lied to. The whole like honoring blue Ferraris, like no, you weren't. But yeah, the V-Carb, I'll give it an 8 as well.
Yeah, it was good. Definitely good look. So, So those are the big highlights from the sprint.
And then there was Max's helmet. I want to talk about Max's helmet really quick.
Max's helmet was beautiful.
Because that was, the black and blue, the metallic blue with like the skyline on the back.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's wearing that for every U.S. Grand Prix.
And the pit crew having the Stars and Stripes shirts and all that kind of stuff in the garage. It's just a great look.
It's just a fun little touch from them.
Yeah, it's a good
As
difference.
an American, I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always fun to see what they do in whatever country they visit or call home or whatever. They always do a nice touch like that. And it's good to see Red Bull doing something like that in the States.
I'm waiting for an orange Red Bull for the Netherlands Grand Prix.
For Zandvoort. That should be interesting to see what they do for that.
That'd be fun.
Absolutely. So, all right, going to the race itself. Obviously, the biggest highlight, once again, Max Verstappen did not win.
He did not.
Sound the trumpets of joy. Lando Norris takes his first career win.
And it was a very well-deserved win.
Absolutely well-deserved. Long overdue.
Yep. Now, he did have a lucky safety car.
Yes.
But even without that safety car, we'll get into the ifs, but he still took off.
Yeah, he took off, and Max was struggling on those hard tires. He couldn't get them turned on with any grip and any grip worth mentioning.
Right. I had a theory for a little while for this first couple laps after the safety car ended, where I was just thinking Lando's pushing too hard, and Max has to be taking his time, just waiting for Lando's tires to wear out. But no, Lando kept pushing, and Max kept falling behind.
Absolutely, it was interesting to see Max struggle that much. He hasn't had a struggle like that in a while.
But even so, with that struggle, he ended in P2.
Yeah, true. It was definitely an interesting and.
Bless you.
Thank you.
But yeah, huge congrats to Lando. It was a very well-deserved win. Hopefully we do see a couple more.
Yes, yeah. I know Team Papaya has been waiting for that for a long time.
Yes.
Definitely a lot of happiness in the McLaren garage after that.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully Lando didn't party as hard after the Grand Prix as he did before the Grand Prix.
With the Band-Aid on his
nose. Because, I don't know, nobody's really sure what happened. Because he was partying in Amsterdam, I believe it was.
That's what I heard, yeah.
Yeah, and he just somehow cut his nose, going crazy.
Cut his nose.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about lap 1, turn 1.
Yeah.
If K-Mag was a menace in the sprint, Checo was definitely the menace of the start of the actual Grand Prix itself.
I think he just he watched the replay of Lewis Hamilton's dive bomb in turn 1 of the sprint and think, I can do that too.
Anything you can do, I can do better. Wrong. Yeah. I think it was David Coulthard that said it best. Like he got in there and it was dusty. There was no traction.
It was very dusty.
So he was flat out going into that corner, and when he turned it, the car said nope, straight on into the runoff area. Exact same spot Lando ended up.
Yeah.
Fortunately, he didn't. Fortunately, he didn't hit anybody. Came real close to one of the Ferraris.
Sainz was unhappy.
Yeah, Sainz was panicking.
Yes.
Because if he'd have hit Sainz would have hit Leclerc, and it would have been.
That would have been disastrous.
It would have been a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw the stewards were investigating him for a false start on that too. I think it ended up being no further investigation.
No more investigation. Yeah.
But it was definitely interesting that there was some confusion about that.
Yeah.
Very interesting to see.
I didn't realize that the 21st driver on the grid was Francesco Virgolini.
Francesco! Very! No, it was definitely a road hazard up there. And then Piastri, that man put on, I will say, a masterclass in defense.
Yeah.
His tires gave out.
Much to Sainz's displeasure.
my favorite part of probably the whole race is I don't remember what turn that is. Is that turn 11 or 12? So not the back straight, but the middle straight with the second DRS zone.
Yeah.
At the end of that hard left turn, 9-degree turn to the left, Piastri pushed him and Sainz off the track.
Yes.
And technically went off track to gain an advantage according to the stewards. And Sainz was like, he's got to give me that position back. That was illegal, all that kind of stuff. And so he goes on the radio. He's like, tell McLaren to have him give me the position back so he doesn't get offended. Like, make sure they're telling him. It's like
the smooth negotiator.
The smooth negotiator, hostage negotiator going on over there is definitely Sainz playing the team strategist over there.
I mean, that's normal. That's Ferrari strategy for you.
The drivers have to be the strategists.
They do, yeah.
Which is sad.
But Fred Vasseur is a master strategist off track.
True.
So that makes up for it.
True.
But yeah, Sainz was definitely holding a proverbial gun to the back of Oscar's head.
You shall not pass. But no, yeah, Piastri put up a great fight for all that, and his tires just gave out, and he had to take that late pit stop, which tumbled him down the standings.
Yeah, I mean, it looked so. Checo took notes from Lewis,
right,
and Oscar took notes from Magnussen.
Yes.
I feel like those parallel pretty well.
Which we did find out this morning that Sainz ended up dropping a position due to his. He made contact with Piastri in one of the last hairpin turn.
He did.
On one of the final laps of that showdown.
Yeah.
And the stewards reviewed it after the fact and assessed Carlos a time penalty, which dropped him a position from 4th to 5th.
Yes, which put Checo in P4.
Correct. So it wasn't completely without error, but it's still fun to watch. It was a good battle. It was definitely one of the more interesting Grand Prix I've watched in my not even a full year of watching Formula One now.
Yeah.
Definitely one of the more entertaining ones to watch on screen.
For sure.
But I guess the last big highlights from the race, Logan Sargent, as we stated earlier, once again put it into a wall. I think it's easier to
not
the race
on his own.
Not on his own,
right.
But he still put it in the wall. He got into a conflict with, guess who? Kevin Magnussen. And yeah, the two got into a scrap after the starting straight, turn 1 or 2.
It was coming into turn 3.
Right, yeah, between turn 2 and turn 3, they got into it, cross tires. And
Magnussen pushed to the inside, which is kind of a blind spot.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, I feel like Logan should have at least, if not checked his mirror, should have understood that he's going to be on my right side.
Sure.
He has to be because I'm on the left side.
Yep.
But no, he turned into Magnussen. They kind of turned into each other, really.
Yeah.
And,
spun him out. He put the back end of that car into the Tech Pro. And
yep, there goes another chassis.
Another chassis has to go back to the UK for repair. And Magnussen kept right on going. It didn't phase him all that much.
He still DNF, though, didn't he?
I don't think so. I believe he finished.
I thought he DNF.
Let me Google this.
To the phones.
To the bat phone. Pretty sure he finished. I don't think he DNF'd.
Really?
Check.
Okay.
Stand by. We are checking. No, he finished.
What?
At the bottom of the standings, 84 seconds behind Norris, but yeah, he finished.
I mean, at that point, what's
he should have retired.
He should have, yeah.
Saved himself some hassle. But yeah, no, he finished, and yeah, it's gonna be real interesting to see what happens with Logan after all of that, because as we've stated, it really wasn't Logan's fault, but at the same time,
not really, but it was also very avoidable.
Yes, I think it comes down again to a skill issue. A more seasoned veteran driver would not be making those mistakes,
right?
Or a more competitive driver wouldn't be stuck at the back of the pack with the menace that it's getting at. He would be getting away from that.
A more competitive driver would be neck and neck with his teammate.
Right. Yes, exactly.
And that has not happened once between Logan.
Yeah, he's been out qualified by Albon pretty much the whole time. I will say, he did well in the sprint, Logan.
Yeah,
he did. Not the points, but it was still a decent finish for him. First decent finish he's had in a long time.
Yeah. I don't know how much saving grace that's going to give him.
None, but it's, I hate to just pile more and more crap on Sargent. Like, the man has some redeeming qualities. He's a great guy. Like, he's a genuinely good person, personality-wise. He clearly can race, just he's not Formula One material. He should go to one of the lower formulas, GT3, IndyCar, we've said a couple times, even NASCAR.
Yeah.
I honestly could see him doing really well in Formula E. I've been watching a lot of Formula E lately. I think he could do well there. But yeah, he's just...
He can go somewhere.
He can go somewhere. It's up, he will find a seat somewhere. I don't think it should be in Formula One. Agreed. Not until he's got more racecraft developed. Right. Which he's young. He's got time.
Yeah, for sure.
But, so yeah, rounding that out, as we talked about, Yuki with a P7 finish.
Yeah.
That was great. That was a very, very good day for V-Car.
Boy.
Glad to see him, climbing the ladder.
I don't know what happened to him in Shanghai, but it's good to see him back.
Yep, he had great form. Made some amazing passes on track. It was good to see him. He ran a clean race and earned every single one of those points for P7.
Yeah. Ricardo, on the other hand, not a super bright finish.
No, it was not. So definitely a strange split there in the V-Car garage.
Yeah, so Ricardo ended in P15. And he started in P20. So, I mean, 5 positions is nothing to really sneeze at.
Sure.
But with how not competitive those bottom 5 are, yeah, it goes back to, I think, a younger, more hot driver would take that car farther.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with them in the summer silliness season coming around the corner.
Yeah.
And then the last big highlight of the race was Max Verstappen's other papaya orange nemesis, the cone.
Yes.
The cone in that last chicane.
Yeah, the last chicane before the big straight at the end of the track, there's a cone, a really tall, narrow cone that marks the chicane, because when you're inside of the monocoque of that F1 car, you can't see the chicane.
Right.
Because it's uphill.
Yep.
So they have that cone there so you can eyeball it and, work your way through that chicane without going off track.
Right.
And Max just decides, no.
Well, the curb is so high. It looks like the way he hit it, kind of the skateboard effect type thing with the floor. He just hit it, and I think he wanted the car to go more left, and he hit it more dead on, and it forced him a little more right.
Right.
And he just plowed straight through that cone.
Yeah, I mean, even without the chicane there, he would have hit that cone.
Yeah.
He just didn't turn left good enough.
Yeah.
He probably braked too late. That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he just decided, well, if I can't beat an orange car, I'll beat an orange cone.
Yeah. And damage the floor while I'm at it. He drove it around for a minute. Oh, man. No, all great race. Highlighted, to me, best race of the season so far. And that's saying something, having Carlos Sainz winning Australia. I still think Miami was a more fun race on track. Shout out to the DFW F1 Breakfast Club here in the DFW area.
Yes.
They partnered with Red Bull, the parent company, and they hosted a watch party here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex at Globe Life Park, home of the Texas Rangers. So we got to watch the race on a 100-foot screen. Got to see a mock-up of the RB19. And
the Coda livery from last year.
Yeah, the Coda livery was on it. Beautiful. You had some fun on a simulator.
Yeah. I did not do very well.
Do you want a hat, though?
I want a hat, yeah. I mean, you had to beat a minute 35 on the Miami circuit.
Yeah.
Which I got on my second lap.
There you go.
So, I mean, that was cool.
I
would love to be able to do more sim stuff with the sim rig.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely interesting to see how it's different behind the actual wheel instead of
which it is.
The controller. All right, rolling into the forecast. Upcoming, what is it, a week out?
Yep, May 19th.
Yep. The San Marino Grand Prix at Imola in the heart of Italy.
Yes.
Sister track of Monza. It's just a stone's throw away from the Ferrari factory there in Maranello. It's a great track. It's definitely one of the more historic tracks.
Yeah, very classic.
Yep. 63 laps, 4.909 kilometers, 1 DRS zone. So it's going to be probably not as high speed as its counterpart of Monza.
Yeah.
But it's by far no slouch. It's got some good straights with some long sweeping curves.
Yeah.
Leads to a lot of really, really fun overtaking attempts.
Right. You really don't need much DRS to
really don't
overtake with that track. You just need good turn exits, really.
Well, and the back half is all downhill as well, right?
The back,
third, maybe?
The back third.
Yeah, it's downhill. So you got some really long sweeping straights on the back that are downhill. After there's like a chicane kind of that
very harsh
chicane that kind of kicks that off, and then it's a downhill fight to the start finish line. And
yeah, it's almost like a 100-degree chicane. You kind of have to almost go in reverse a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and the curves on that, at least in F123, are very unforgiving.
Italy loves high chicanes.
Yes.
I don't know what it is.
I don't know either, but they are. They're a bit crazy about him.
Yeah,
Lap record on this track is a minute 15:484, set by Lewis Hamilton in 2020. Be interesting to see if that gets broken. It's obviously a different time. I could see Max beating that with the current RB20 for sure. I bet you he could clear that by a second, given enough room.
It's possible.
Be interesting to see if that one stands.
Yeah.
Obviously, this track is also famous for sad reasons. This is the track where beloved Brazilian race driver Ayrton Senna passed away in 1994, along with Roland Ratzenberger. They had a duel crashes, different sessions. One was a qualifying, I believe. The other was the actual Grand Prix itself.
Yes.
But they passed away in 1994. So a lot of racers hold this track in high regard as being, obviously the place that caused the death of one of their heroes, idols, mentors. A lot of them, Senna was the person that inspired them to get into racing in the first place. So
for sure,
to race the track that he passed away on is a very momentous thing for a lot of these drivers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
emotions run high this track.
It's a trope / sentiment that you see in a lot of different forms of motorsport. You have this, and then you have Daytona for NASCAR, Dale Earnhardt, that kind of a deal.
Sure.
It's a very unfortunate thing, but at least it is cool to see that it spans motorsport as a whole.
Absolutely.
That spirit is there.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that I've noticed, because going into Miami Grand Prix, they celebrated the anniversary of his passing.
Yes.
And it's one of those things that all of the drivers, most of them are friendly, but even if they're not, like, they can all rally around the fact of how great and inspiring a driver Senna was.
For sure.
And so there's this reverence amongst everybody in Formula One of, where you race where Senna raced, you take a moment. You approach that track with pause.
Yeah, it's a moment of respect and also a moment of pride.
Sure.
Especially for younger drivers.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely, he inspired a lot of people. I've been reading up on him a lot lately, especially since a new Netflix series coming out about him.
That'll be cool to see.
Yeah, the man was definitely once in a generation racer by far, and it's just great to see the entire grid respecting that. So,
yeah.
But to the race itself, who do you think needs to step up and perform?
You can take your pick. You can take Williams. You can pick Sauber. But honestly, Mercedes has work to do. Mm-hmm. They were looking like a midfield team out there in Miami.
Yeah.
McLaren was showing them up in their own power units.
Yeah.
Like embarrassing them.
Yes.
So, but not just drivers, but just the car. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but Mercedes didn't really have any upgrades for Miami, did they?
Nothing major to write home about.
Yeah, so they have work to do, both at the factory and on track.
Yep, I would agree.
I would say Mercedes, the team Mercedes needs to step it up. As far as the driver goes, I probably have to pick probably Bottas again.
Yeah.
Because I thought that he was going to repeat his performance at Shanghai until he quit it out.
Right.
At Miami, he did not.
No.
He was nowhere to be seen. It was just
a footnote in the race, basically.
Yeah, it was kind of a footnote.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Last chance as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, you definitely point there. It's sad to see a team like Mercedes struggling as much as they are, and then someone like Bottas, who had a great career with Mercedes, also suffering with another team. It's just, It's a bit of a disappointment there.
Yeah, how about you?
For me, I'm going to say Aston Martin. Alonso did not do great in Miami. He struggled a lot.
He was almost neck and neck with Stroll the entire weekend.
And when that's the case, you need to worry about the morale in the Aston garage, because Alonso, for most of the season, he scored the bulk of Aston's points, and when he's not scoring points and Stroll's not scoring points, it leaves a lot of questions.
Right. Yeah. So my eyebrows are going to get raised.
Yes, and so I think they'll do good at Imola. They have the capacity to do well at Imola.
I think so too.
I think so.
I think that track kind of favors how they set their car up a little better.
I think so too. So yeah, I definitely think I could see Aston Martin knowing what they're capable of, and then going out there and wanting to prove it. I think they're going to come out thirsty. So I could definitely see that being a big thing. And then as far as drivers go, I think I would say Oscar Piastri. He did great in Miami, but seeing how far he tumbled after all of that,
right,
and then his teammates scoring that win, I just hope he doesn't get discouraged.
Yeah.
I can see something like that rattling a young driver.
Sure, definitely. There was even a radio call where he was defending Carlos Sainz, and he gets a call from his engineer saying, "Hey, Lando's leading. Don't ruin this for us."
Right.
That kind of a call. And yeah, that could definitely put a dent in your morale.
Exactly. And so I just hope he comes back to. I hope he just takes a good weekend rest, clears his head, whatever he needs to do, and rolls into Imola with a clear head, and him and Lando go out there and conquer that track. Because we know they can. That McLaren came out with a whole ton of upgrades. I mean, Lando had all the upgrades this week and did phenomenal. Piastri had no upgrades and still did amazing. So I'm like, you get that B-spec car on for both of these drivers, they are going to rock.
Yeah.
Their head has to be in the right spot. And so the counterpoint of that, the other side of that coin, is Lando can't get cocky.
Yeah.
You won one, don't throw in the towel just because you won one and think you're all that in a bag of chips.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think those are going to be definitely the highlights of it. So knowing what we know now, we'll just call for P10.
For P10, George Russell.
George Russell for
Yeah.
P10. That's not a bad call.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, like I said, Mercedes is a midfield team right now.
He finished P8.
He finished P8. Lewis has been doing better racecraft-wise these past couple of races.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that he's going to outshine George, and George is going to be stuck at the back of the points.
I think it's a safe bet.
You're not allowed to say Hulkenberg again.
No, I don't see Imola being a great particular track for the Haas setup.
Yeah, I can see that.
I just don't. I don't think they've got that track pretty good. We also have to remember it was not raced last year due to flooding.
Correct.
So a lot of teams with the current cars or rough design of cars don't have data on this track. So I think a lot of teams are going to struggle. Like I can see free practice 1 and 2 being particularly interesting because everybody tries to figure out what they want to run.
Right. This is not a sprint.
It's not a sprint weekend, standard weekend. So it'll be interesting to see what they decide to run. But I don't know if Haas has what it takes to make it work there. So I don't see any of the Haas drivers in the top 10.
Right.
Hulkenberg could surprise us, but I definitely don't see Magnussen getting up there. Honestly, my P10 prediction. I was surprised at P10 in Miami.
Yeah.
Esteban Ocon. It is a slow train coming into the station here. But Alpine is slowly getting that car together.
Right.
And Ocon seemed to have a good grasp of it in Miami. Didn't do too horrible in China.
This
the
one
team didn't do
the
great, but I think that has more to do with the weather conditions in China.
Yeah, don't forget the new floor.
And the new floor and all of that. So I'm going to say Esteban Ocon for P10 for Imola. I think he has a shot at it. I don't think Gasly does, but I think Ocon could pull it off.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about this year's Alpine, but Ocon just is acclimating it to it better than Gasly is.
Yeah, and he's handling it well. Like it's not great, but he's not at the back of the pack. He's keeping it alive.
Right. They were fighting each other.
They were.
In the Miami Grand Prix.
Yep.
Which was cool to see.
Yeah, it was definitely.
I was worried that it was going to be a repeat of Australia from last year. Thankfully, that did not happen.
For sure. Any save rounds for the forecast?
Do you want to do a top 5 prediction?
Oh, yes. Top 5 prediction. I'm going to go P1 Leclerc.
Okay.
I think he wants it. He wants it.
He does want
it, I think.
Yeah.
So I think I'm not saying this just because it's Italy, but it does seem like Ferrari does well in Imola and Monza. Just whatever it is.
I hope they do.
Yeah. So I foresee a Ferrari taking it, and I think it's going to be a Leclerc in this one. So I'm going to say Leclerc P1, Verstappen P2. P3, Checo P4, Sainz P5.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good prediction. I'm going to go Max P1. I think that they're going to take advantage of all those free practice sessions to iron out the kinks from everything that happened over Miami.
That makes sense.
And I mean, we know that Max doesn't like sprint weekends because of the lack of data.
Yes.
So this is going to be a great change for him.
Yeah.
I'll go Lando P2.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go Checo P3.
Okay.
And then a Ferrari 4-5.
Okay.
Leclerc Sainz.
Okay. That's a safe bet. I could see a dual Red Bull.
With such an open track, and a really long straight before turn 1, I don't think Checo's going to have many opportunities to screw up the way he did at Miami.
Knock on wood.
And I think he's going to qualify a little bit better because he has been qualifying better than the Ferraris pretty consistently.
True.
Except for Australia.
Yep.
Which was really more of a penalty. But yeah, I think he'll be able to start ahead of the Ferraris and hang on to that.
That makes sense. It'll be interesting to see for sure. The having those open free practice sessions will let everybody get it dialed in a lot more, and I think it'll be a lot closer race. I think we have the right personnel between the two of us in the top 5. I think it's going to be a very close race. I don't see it being a blowout.
I can see it being
unless
close
there's a big crash or something like that allows Max to just ride off into the sunset. But I think if all things being equal, it being a clean, normal race, I think it's going to be a lot closer than we think it's going to be.
I think so too. Yeah, I can see that.
So we're at that point where the cars are getting developed enough, upgrades are rolling out,
Yeah.
drivers are confident, Imola's a good track.
I don't know if it's just the Red Bull, the RB20 is not as good as the RB19, or because all the other teams copied the RB19, so it's a tighter pack, or a combination of both.
Yeah, it's possible. Hard to know. I don't think we'll have a good answer to that question until we get later in the season. Anyway.
Probably not.
As they continue to grow, seeing how much they stay lookalikes. All right, any safe rounds for the forecast?
No, sir.
All right, so with that, we're going to roll into the traffic report, which is pretty brief this week. But I watched the F1 Academy races, which was the junior support series that ran alongside Formula One and the Porsche GT series at Miami over the weekend. It was a good series of races. The gals did pretty fantastic, and I was particularly proud to see Haas driver Chloe Chambers, the other American that took the grid this weekend in the lower formula, take her first podium and Haas's first podium.
Yeah, this is the first podium for Haas was not by the F1 team.
Yep, it was by F1 Academy, and she looked very proud.
Yeah, she has every reason to be.
Yeah, P3 for her was definitely well deserved. And yeah, it was just a great series to watch. Abby Poling with Alpine was doing fantastic. Bianca Bustamante with McLaren did pretty fantastic as well. Yeah, those girls. So the last race was in Jeddah, and just the change in racecraft. Obviously, Miami and Jeddah are very different tracks, but this one felt a whole lot more well put together from a driver understanding standpoint. They acted like they knew what they were doing.
So they've been practicing.
Like they came out there with a confidence that showed. And it was very fun to watch. It was a good series for those that just wanted more to watch than Formula One. It was definitely not a letdown.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely good to see them. I could definitely see any of the top 5 or 6 drivers in the Formula One Academy eventually make a step up to Formula 2 and race in that series. And if their form continues, definitely see a Formula One career for some of those gals, and I think it's well deserved.
Sure, one can definitely hope.
Yep. So definitely recommend watching that. So now for everyone's favorite part, the moment you've all been waiting for, the tinfoil hat party. Woohoo! All right, starting off the docket. Magnussen race ban when? You think he'll get a ban in Imola, or you think he'll hold out to Monaco when everybody makes mistakes?
Yeah, he'll make a mistake in Monaco probably.
Everyone makes a mistake.
Yeah, but Imola, I don't think he will. I think he can rein himself in and just be, nice and quiet in the back. Because again, with how open and wide Imola is, it's hard to unintentionally screw another driver over.
Right. Yeah, we don't get a track as tight and narrow as Miami until we get to Canada, really.
Yeah.
I mean, Monaco is, but
Monaco.
Monaco's its own special breed. It's not really fair to compare Monaco to everything else.
Yeah. Canada is narrow on some sections of the track.
Yeah.
But then after that, you don't really have a narrow circuit anywhere until Baku.
Yeah, everything else is pretty open, standard circuits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that
if he can survive Canada, he'll be okay.
Yeah. So I think that if he plays his cards right and just calms down, he can make it to summer break.
Okay, that's fair. I can see that. Yeah, it'll just be interesting to see if he can, because the penalty points last until March of next year, so they carry over into the next year. So he has to survive this entire season plus the first 2 or 3 races of next year.
Right, which he's got to be really careful.
He's got to be very careful.
That, or Haas has talked to him about this, and they're absolutely okay with him getting this penalty so that Ollie Behrman can get some practice in a Haas.
Not the worst trade-off in the world. We've seen what Behrman can do behind the wheel in that car.
And I'm sure that it's pretty clear that once Hulkenberg leaves Haas next year, that Behrman's going to step up and take that seat.
Is it still the case that, Oliver Behrman is tied with Nico Hulkenberg for points in the driver's standings?
Well, there you go. I mean, let's not forget, Behrman was driving a Ferrari.
True, but still, I mean,
the numbers are there.
With no practice, he just got dropped into a Formula One car due to Sainz's appendix surgery, and ended up putting points on the board. So it's will be definitely interesting to see if he grabs a seat out of all this.
Right. So letting Behrman get some practice in his new team's car, 8 months ahead of time is not the worst trade-off ever.
Right.
But I'm sure Magnussen does not want that, so I think he's going to rein it in.
One can only hope for the sake of all the other cars out there on the grid. I can only listen to Hamilton complain so much. All right, moving on, and we've discussed this a lot already, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse. But let's just, in a concise way, Ricciardo and Logan Sargent, do they keep their seats through this entire season, or are they jumping?
Sargent definitely. At the very latest by summer break, because I don't know when Antonelli's birthday is.
August.
Okay. Yeah, that's right around that time period.
So Zandvoort will be the first race to technically be eligible to go get that super license.
I imagine that happening as soon as possible for him.
Right.
Ricciardo, on the other hand, I think it's going to depend on his form for these next couple of Grand Prix.
Sure.
If he can keep up what he did in the Miami Sprint and show that, hey, I'm still here, I think he can at least hang on until the end of the season. But after that, Liam Lawson has gone out and said, hey, Red Bull, if you don't get me something by next year, I'm jumping.
Yeah.
And I think Helmut Marko and the rest of Red Bull are starting to take that seriously.
Sure.
So, after the end of this season, I think we can see Ricciardo in the commentary box after that.
Honey Badger's going to have to carry just a little bit.
Sure.
No, I agree with you there. It's going to be very interesting to see how that all shakes out and who ends up replacing him at their respective teams, because it is a bit, I don't want to say slim pickings, but teams only have so many qualified drivers to choose from, and I feel like there's going to be more openings than there are drivers that teams are comfortable with. So someone's going to be the odd man out, left standing in a game of musical chairs, and it's going to be real funny to see how that all shakes out.
Definitely. Nothing beyond the end of this season.
Yeah, I agree. And then, continuing on our warpath of the Andretti saga, at the start of all of this, the Andretti community had a bunch of sit-down meetings with Stefano Domenicali of Formula One management, and they brought with them a signed letter from the United States Congress with 12 signatures from bipartisan congressional support. And for those who are not American, that basically means both sides of our government, the Republicans and the Democrats, who hate each other's guts at the moment, somehow managed to come together over Formula One and express their displeasure that Andretti was not being allowed to race.
Racing brings everybody together.
It really does. Everybody's a racing fan.
Forget Salvador longer, we just need to have one.
Hey, nothing else seems to be working, so might as well try it.
Sure. Although I just feel like Congress has more important things to worry about.
They really do. But friend of the show, Andrew Weaver, pointed out an interesting fact to me. So Formula One management is owned by Liberty Media.
Yes.
And Liberty Media also owns Ticketmaster and Live Nation, who are currently under congressional investigation for monopoly practices, antitrust hearings.
Okay.
And this is Congress's way of, hey, fix this. If you start treating Formula One as a monopoly and controlling who gets in, who gets out, and all that kind of stuff, we have precedent to start investigating you.
Interesting.
So play fair or else. And call it a scare tactic, if you will, but a very highly effective one. And that could be the nudge that pushes the door open for Andretti to finally.
Sure. Yeah. And there was a lot of exposure for Andretti during the Miami Grand Prix.
Oh, tons. They were
Mr. Andretti himself was on the grid talking to everybody.
Absolutely. And yeah, like I said, he had meetings with F1 management. He met with the FIA. The FIA's given him the green light to enter.
Right. It's just Formula One. Yeah.
So, it'll be interesting to see what happens, but I think it's just interesting that, they come to the United States and the U.S. Congress gets involved. Yeah. Of all the entities that get involved in Formula One, Congress was the least I expected.
Right, for real. Yeah.
Definitely an odd one. So, all right, you want to introduce your new topic?
Yes, a little idea that I had called, we're calling this the quote of the week. So basically, what was your favorite quote from this whole weekend? It can be on-track radio. It could be a post-race interview. Just what one line from this whole weekend stuck out to you the most?
For me, I think I'm going to go with, I believe it was the Grand Prix qualifying. I believe it was. In Q1, I think it was. Verstappen was, I think he was starting a push lap. It was on turn 2 or 3. He comes starting around that corner, and there's an Alpine, I believe it was Esteban Ocon, sitting there kind of on the racing line.
Yeah, I think it was turn 3 to that first little straight that they had there.
And he goes on the radio and is like, what the heck, there's an Alpine there, what are they doing? Yeah. And he just takes off, but then David Coulthard in the commentary box is like, I believe that was an Alpine going full out, or flat out, when he was clearly not going fast at all. It was a great shot from DC at the Alpine team, keeping them more humble than they probably already are.
Right, yeah.
That was my favorite quote. How about yourself?
All right, for me, it was the post-race, post-Grand Prix interview with the podium boys, Lando, Max, and Charles. And interviewers are basically pressing Lando, asking him, do you think you still would have won if there had not been a safety car? And Lando's like trying to explain himself a little bit, and Max, I love this about Max. He'll just kind of interject for other drivers and defend them.
Yeah.
And this is what he was doing here. He just goes, yeah, I mean, it's a whole bunch of ifs. If my mom had balls, she would have been my dad. And this the looks on everybody else's face was beautiful.
They're like, can we air this?
Well, I mean, you have Lando who's just cracking up and trying to hold his laugh in, and then you have Charles off to the side just kind of going, I don't know what to do with myself.
That's so awkward.
And then Max just sitting there, matter of factly, like, am I wrong? Huh?
Fair. I thought it was hilarious in the post-race interview. They always have the winner sit in the middle of the couch.
Yes.
Center to match their spot on the podium. And then second and third are flanking him. And out of habit, Max goes in and sits in the P1 position. He sits down, and then he catches himself like, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Gets up and moves over slotless Lando having
You can't blame the man, but yeah.
It's like you do it often enough, it's a force I have.
Right.
So I thought that was a funny part of it too.
Yeah. Also, can I just say the Pirelli hats for the podiums were gorgeous.
In that blue?
Yes.
Oh, that turquoise.
Yeah, that's the blue we should have seen on the Ferrari.
Yes. Yeah. I need to see if those are for sale. I'd get one of those. All right, then rounding out the tinfoil hat party, we have Valtteri Bottas somehow got listed as a top contender for driver of the day.
Second place for driver of the day behind Lando Norris with 12% of the vote. Where did this come from?
Had to be for the mullet. They were voting for the mullet. It's Florida.
Yes.
Florida's like, respect that man's mullet.
Yes, we solved it. The Florida man mullet.
That's worth 12% of the vote.
Yeah,
I would say.
yeah.
But it was just weird to see him pop up. It's like, did he even do anything in this race?
Like, who did he pay off to get those votes?
Uber. We've been doing Uber ads.
Yeah, probably.
All right, with that, we're going to roll back into our new favorite segment, Driver versus Driver.
All right, here you go. I believe this is the activity hat.
All right.
All right, let's get some drivers.
Go for it.
All right, 2 drivers, 1 activity. We debate on who would be better.
Yep.
Driver number 1 is Oscar Piastri.
Oscar Piastri.
Versus driver number 2, Lance Stroll.
Oscar Piastri and Lance Stroll, and the activity is gardening. Lance doesn't have the patience for gardening.
I mean, he's surrounded by green all the time.
It's true. He's probably sick of staring at green things.
Sure, yeah. I mean, he's also got a lot of green, if you know what I mean.
Also true, yes. That man probably hasn't actually gotten his hands dirty in any real lawn work ever.
Yeah, I don't think we're really helping him in this. Yeah.
No, definitely a Piastri win on that one.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I don't know how good Oscar would be as a gardener, but I think he's just got the demeanor for it.
Sure.
You know, he's just that quiet guy who would just, be tending his garden off on his own, not a care in the world, just, in his own little world.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, checks out. Definitely Piastri over Stroll on that.
Yeah. All right, first one goes to Oscar.
We should keep a scoreboard.
We should, yeah.
Starting next episode, we'll have a scoreboard for this.
All right, round 2, driver number 1, Kevin Magnussen.
Oh no, this is not going to end well.
Menace himself versus driver number 2, George Russell.
Ooh,
that's a new one.
That's a new one.
K-Mag versus Russell.
And the activity is Ultimate Frisbee.
Ooh. Okay, here's the thing. Ultimate Frisbee verticality is huge.
Yes.
George is, if I'm not mistaken, he's the tallest driver on the grid.
I believe you're correct.
So, yeah, I'm going to have to go George.
So context. Nat and I met playing Ultimate Frisbee nearly a decade ago. So while we are not quite as athletic now as we used to be in our younger years, we still hold this sport as near and dear to our hearts. And in my experience, yes, verticality is super important. However, tenacity plays a huge part of it, and just being willing to just go hard on occasion.
I can see K-Mac being the guy that commits dangerous plays.
Dangerous plays, lays out all the time. He's the guy that ends up with, game's over, his team lost, but he's got a bloody nose.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I think that's what it would be. So I don't think necessarily one would be better than the other. I think it would be an interesting team dynamic. It would depend on how well the rest of their team plays, but one of them is going to go home in better shape than the other.
I think Russell would make a better cutter, which is the equivalent of a wide receiver in football, and I think Magnussen is probably going to be a better handler, which is a quarterback equivalent.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, or a deep man, somebody you just send deep and
just let him
dive to him at a bazillion yards out and just watch him tear through a defensive line trying to score.
I can see that.
And lay out every single time. All right, one more.
Who we got? Pierre Gasly.
Gasly!
Versus George Russell again.
Ooh, Gasly Russell again. And the activity is chess.
That's a tough one. Huh.
I could see Russell being very good at chess.
I could honestly, dude, that's a tough one. I could see both of them being pretty good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. They both have pretty similar demeanor. So yeah, dude, I'm gonna have to do a first timer for this series and just give them a tie. To me. Yeah, I can't think of any reason why one would be better than the other.
I agreed, and I think if neither of them played chess and then sat down to learn it and play it together at the same time, they would have equal skill. Like they would approach it very similarly. It would be a good game to watch.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. for sure. I want to see that now.
Isn't there a photo of Russell playing chess with Alonso on a plane? I think it was chess. Some kind of.
It was chess with Esteban.
No. It was
Wasn't it Esteban?
What I'm thinking of was him playing ping pong with Alonso. I think it was ping pong.
Yes, but there is a photo out there of, I believe it's Russell and Esteban Ocon playing chess.
Okay.
I don't know. Say, dearest viewers, we're going to research this. The powers of Google will avail me here. But I believe there is a photo of them on a jet, and it's Russell Dane, who's looking almost scholarly. He's in like a turtleneck or something like that.
Yeah.
And then Esteban's just over there in like shorts and a t-shirt, and like, yeah, it's the funniest thing. I'll have to see if I can find it, but I'm pretty sure it's out there.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm gonna give them a tie.
Yes, I will agree with that. I think that's a good thing. But yes, next time, scoreboard under here. I will get a whiteboard. We will do this. And that ends driver versus driver. Our newest fun segment going into this. All right, I think that about rounds out the episode. Any save rounds? Anything else that strikes your fancy you want to cover?
No, I think we're good. Just a quick reminder that we've got a little karting outing coming up in a couple of weeks that we're going to be filming and recording and putting out for you guys. And then we talked about it before, but just another reminder that we will be live streaming a 1v1 full-length Monaco Grand Prix in F123.
Yep, and it's going to be a blast. I'm so looking forward to that.
It's going to be agonizing.
We jumped on F123 last night for the first time in
a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Longer than that, I think. At least competitively.
Yeah.
It's been at least, I think, a month. Man, was I rusty.
Yeah, I was too.
It was rough. So yeah, I definitely need to get back into it and be practicing up. I need to race Monaco. I'm the guy that when I create my own career in F123, Monaco gets dropped and replaced with literally anything else because I don't like Monaco.
Yeah. I'm sure that happens a lot.
Yeah.
I'd love to see the in-game data on that, over how many users change that out.
Oh, yeah. Well, and so I watched Formula E today, and they just raced at Monaco, and it's the only track on the Formula E calendar that is the exact same as the Formula One track.
Okay.
It's the exact same.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, because it's shorter. They can do it. But Formula E cars, they're used to being in a tighter pack all the time anyway because of the energy savings, you'd think they could navigate Monaco a whole lot safer and without a lot of damage. Wrong.
Really?
So many broken wings. I have never seen so much debris on a track.
Interesting.
So many wings. At least one car put it into the Tech Pro barrier at a particular high speed.
Was it just like rotation issues?
No. The losing of the wings was just somebody trying to force position and getting a little aggressive. On the Formula E cars, the front wing sticks out just enough that it's not exactly in line with the rest of the body. It sticks out outside the wheels. Just if it's an inch. If it's less than an inch, I'd be surprised. It's about an inch. Okay. At least it looks like on TV. But that little gap is enough when they cross over, it'll hook onto the other team's wing or whatever, or if they're on the inside, it'll hook onto the wall, that kind of stuff, and it just rips it off.
Yeah, there's a lot of spots on Monaco where that can happen.
Yes, and so there's wings, half of wings, just random carbon fiber debris all over the place, and it's just like, yikes. So if they're struggling with it, makes me feel a little bit better at how bad they are in Monaco. So
that's a good point. Yeah.
So Monaco Grand Prix, 26th of May. Definitely looking forward to that. So yeah, that weekend, just stay tuned to our socials: YouTube, Twitch, X, Instagram, TikTok, Threads. For those that are in the metaverse,
just a bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. We are everywhere. We try to be. At least in some form or presence. So, stay tuned. But yeah, we'll definitely be broadcasting that. I guess this coming Friday, since it's not a race weekend, I will be doing a box talks. I don't know about what yet. I just now thought of that I haven't planned that.
Well, you've got a couple days to figure
I have a couple days to figure that out. So, stay tuned on our socials, and if that actually does happen, I will post about it. But yeah, if there's anything you want to hear me talk about, speak now. Send me anything you want to know about, and we'll discuss it.
Speak now or hold your peace until next time.
Yep, because if I can't come up with something, it will probably hold out till next time. So.
Yeah,
But,
I think we're good to go, sir.
Yep, I think that'll wrap up this episode. Thank you all for listening and tuning in, as you always do. We appreciate it. It's the support of our friends and family that make this all worthwhile, and any chance I get to razz this guy about his terrible ideas is a win in my book.
I'm pretty happy with my ideas. Some of them.
You shouldn't be.
Half of them.
You should be ashamed.
Never.
Thanks again for listening. I'm Jeff.
And I am Matt.
And as I said, please follow us on all platforms. Leave us a review. Contact us if there's anything you want to know. And we'll catch you all on the next episode. Pitch strategy complete.